All right, it is 1 minute after the hour, so we're going to go ahead and get started today. First of all, I'd like to welcome everyone to our session today on validating leadership competencies, certification opportunities for students. My name is Denise DuBois, and I will be your moderator today along with a co-presenter. We are very pleased to have Lori Myers from the AAFCS with us today. But before we get started, I've got just a few housekeeping details to go over first. First of all, this will be recorded and everyone will receive the recording link after the program is finished so that you can go back and view it again at your leisure. You will also be receiving a certificate of participation as well as a handout that has links to all of the URLs that are referred to throughout our program today. There will be opportunities for Q&A, and we would ask that if you have any questions that you put them into the chat box on your screen. We will be monitoring the chat and we will try to make sure that we get all of those questions answered. So with that, I am pleased to turn our webinar over to our first presenter, Lori Myers. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you so much, Denise. I'm excited to be with you this afternoon to partner with Reality Works and share the wonderful opportunities to certify students in leadership essentials and share with you some important ways to validate leadership competencies. As Denise said, I'm Lori Myers from the American Association of Family and Consumer Sciences, and I serve as Senior Director for Credentialing, Education, and Research. Let's take a look at some of the items that we're going to be focusing on today. First of all, we'll talk about some of the importance of leadership soft skills, and then we'll spend some time introducing you to an experience that you can validate leadership competencies through the AAFCS PrePAC Leadership Essentials Assessment. We'll also introduce you to their Leadership Soft Skills curriculum by Reality Works. Once we've had an opportunity to share both of those with you, then we'll talk a little bit about the alignment and correlation of how both of those work together. And then, of course, we'll finish up sharing some free resources as well as having an opportunity for question and answer. So let's take a look at the need for soft skills. When we look at employers and what they are wanting from their employees today, we see that many of them, over half of them, say that soft skills are really more important than the hard or technical skills. And we find that the large majority, 89%, indicate that new hires really do not have the skills that they need. And so when we look at these soft skills and we think about how they focus on communication, team building, ethics, and so many other areas, all of these are actually leadership qualities. So incorporating these leadership soft skills into our programs and into our instruction, and then finding ways to validate those competencies are really important for all of our family and consumer sciences and CTE programs to do. And if you think about family and consumer sciences and CTE, leadership soft skills have been at the foundation of what we've been teaching and incorporating into our programs and classes for many, many years. Incorporating these soft skills are very important. But also important is how do we validate the leadership knowledge and skills of our students. And so that's the very reason that the American Association of Family and Consumer Sciences, just a couple of years ago, developed the pre-professional assessment and certification in leadership essentials. We wanted to find a way to be able to nationally validate knowledge, skill, and competence in the areas of leadership soft skills, what we refer to as the essential skills. We have a lot of different assessment resources that give you some insight into the actual assessment and corresponding certification. On our website, that you'll have the link in our resource handout, you'll find the blueprint, which identifies the topics and the competencies that are included in the assessment. You'll also find an information bulletin, which provides some general information about leadership essentials, about the assessment in general, and then it really takes the blueprint and expands it and provides a wonderful competency outline that can be used as a wonderful tool to ensure that all of the competencies have been incorporated into your instruction or curriculum. And then we also provide some sample test items. All of these resources are available for free to download on the AAFCS PrePAC website. So let's dive a little bit deeper into the assessment. We're going to start with Domain 1 in measuring leadership competence. Domain 1, which is about 30% of the assessment, focuses on leadership fundamentals. How do we define leadership? What are the qualities? What are the leadership styles? What is ethical leadership? Then Domain 2 focuses on leadership skills and practices, another 30% of the assessment. And this is going to focus on leadership strategies, skills, problem solving, communication, and then of course, taking care of ourselves as leaders as we manage our multiple roles and responsibilities. Domain 3, which also is at 30% of the assessment, focuses on team building. And so how do groups work together to build alignment? How do they develop a vision? How do they delegate responsibilities? What's the importance of collaboration? What about positive relationships and developing consensus among the team? All of these are important topics and competencies within the team building domain. And then last, but certainly not least, when we look at measuring leadership competence, we look at Domain 4 that focuses on conflict resolution and management, a 10% of the assessment. And so this is going to focus on conflict prevention as well as resolution. When we think about those domain and topic areas, I'd like to share a little bit more about how the assessment is put together, the format. Our assessments are administered all online, and they are multiple choice assessments that include 3 levels of cognitive rigor. All of the assessment items are randomly selected from our test bank, and students can navigate from domain to domain. If you want to find out more details about how our pre-professional assessment and certification system works, and specifically the Leadership Essentials PrePAC, then check out our PrePAC management system that literally walks you through each of the 5 steps of the assessment process. I'd love to share more information with you. So if you have questions, please feel free to put those in the chat box. We'll have an opportunity to talk about those at the end of our session. But please do feel free to reach out via email or phone for more information about the pre-professional assessment and certification in Leadership Essentials. I am excited about the opportunity to work with RealityWorks in putting together how our Leadership Essentials PrePAC fits within their new Leadership Soft Skills curriculum. So I'm going to turn it over back to Denise to share about that particular curriculum resource. Denise, take it away.
Thank you, Lori, and I hope everyone can see my screen. We are, as Lori said, very pleased to work together to be able to offer not only a certification for leadership, but also a comprehensive curriculum for leadership skills as well. We know that many times teachers are sometimes recreating the wheel, trying to create their own lessons on leadership integration into CTE, and we've tried to make it very, very easy. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about our new program here and how it works. We have 18 different lessons in our Leadership Soft Skills curriculum, and each of those 18 lessons, each of those has a single lesson where it focuses on that skill. Students learn all about it, and specifically how it's tied to leadership development. And then students are putting their skills into practice in scenarios and other things. So it's very comprehensive. You can see a lot of the skills that are addressed in the Leadership Soft Skills program are some of the ones that Lori even mentioned earlier in her comments. So our program does come in 2 different versions. We have a print, and we also have a brand new online course as well. So we're going to take first, we're going to take a look at the Leadership Soft Skills program that is paper-based, and it has 3 components to it. First of all, it does have a teacher guide, which includes all of those 18 lessons. It has facilitator instructions. It has all the PowerPoints, notes to the instructor, any handouts. So very comprehensive. We also have student workbooks that each student gets. It's a take-home reference manual, if you will, after the program that students can refer to as they go into the workplace. And then we have scenario cards. In each scenario card, there are 1 card for each of the 18 soft skills in the program. There's a real world scenario that focuses on that specific soft skill. They include some very key discussion questions that can be whole group discussion. It can be turned into writing exercises. And then it also gives points of view to consider. So it really is very interactive and has students thinking very specifically about each of those different soft skills in the program. So now we are going to just take a quick glimpse at a few of the lessons and activities. It's by no means an exhaustive list, but it will give you a flavor for the types of things that are in the course. First of all, we do have 1 lesson. It's on conflict resolution, and students learn about the 5 conflict approach styles in the lesson. And then they learn how to resolve workplace conflicts using the different approaches and how to use the power of persuasion. So the first part of the lesson kicks off where those 5 conflict approach styles are explained, and then students receive a workplace scenario, and they're tasked with using a conflict approach style to solve it. They're learning how to use something like the interest-based relational approach to resolve conflicts. And then they also explore persuasion as an essential leadership skill in conflict resolution. They're introduced to the Variance Persuasion Tools model to identify the best negotiation approach. And then they work in small groups to choose the best persuasion tools to resolve a series of conflicts that are presented to them in the lesson. Delegation. Now we knew that delegation is also key to leadership. So this lesson explores how delegation as a leader is essential, but sometimes can be very difficult. So students will learn to do things like use the power of delegation to manage, facilitate, and empower others. So as part of the lesson, they're going to learn 9 steps to effective delegation. Then in groups, they're going to receive a scenario, and they're going to put those 9 steps into action. Then they're also learning about something called the situational leadership model, and they're going to use it again in several different scenarios where they have to identify the recommended leadership style and work through the scenario that's presented to them. We have a lesson on diplomacy and tact. And we know that leaders that use these skills do excel. So this lesson helps students understand just what diplomacy and tact are and how to use these skills in the workplace. So they'll learn the definition of both, and then strategies for using tact are shared as a means to improve communication and conversation. And then students will receive a list of statements that they rewrite to make each more tactful. Then it moves on where they learn the 6 characteristics that are part of using diplomacy as a leadership skill. And they work through a workplace scenario in a group to discuss and identify how a manager could be taught to have more tact and diplomacy. And then they get ready to role play. Students receive a scenario in which they have to think of tactful ways to meet and motivate the employee to improve performance in the scenarios. Servant leadership. We know that the heart of leadership is being of service. So this lesson helps students explore what it means to be a servant leader and how they can live those values and how to see those qualities in others. So they will, first of all, one of the things they're going to do in this lesson is take a self-assessment of their own servant leadership characteristics. Then they're going to take a critical look at 3 different quotes about servant leadership and complete a series of written reflection questions. And then the lesson is going to conclude with a short research project where they choose someone who has lived a life of service and acted as a servant leader. And then they're going to prepare a short presentation to share with the class. Great teams are the building blocks of any organization. And we know that a successful team leader needs a plan to guide them. So this lesson will introduce students to steps to building an effective team and how to successfully participate as a team member and also as a leader. So they're going to learn 5 steps to team building and then work through a scenario, putting those 5 steps in place. They're going to learn about something called the Belbin model of team role behaviors. And they're going to learn how each role contributes as well as potential weaknesses to each role in a team. And then the lesson's going to culminate in a teamwork survival exercise where groups have to work together in small teams to make decisions to survive a scenario that's presented to them. The visionary leader can clearly articulate their view of the future, allowing followers to understand how they play an important role in that future state. So we're going to help students understand just what it means to be a visionary leader and then how they can apply this to their own life. So they're going to learn 10 traits of a visionary leader, and then they're actually going to be led through a visualization exercise that has them thinking about things like goals, their future, their dreams. They're going to be asked a series of questions, and then they are going to choose a person that they believe exemplifies a truly visionary leader, and then prepare a short class presentation about why they chose that person and their qualities. Now, we know that observation is a powerful tool for all of us, but especially as a leader. Leaders need to be looking for, noticing things, asking questions, and being aware to spot trends, learning more, and just overall leading more effectively. So this lesson is meant to help your students harness the power of observation as a leadership skill and then put it into practice. So we're going to begin that lesson by sharing 10 habits or behaviors that one could do to develop or increase their observation skills. Then the next part, they are presented with a series of different pictures that they're going to observe for 30 seconds. Then it's turned off. Then they're asked a series of questions. It's going to challenge them and their level of detail that they can recall. And it's really a lot harder than it looks, and they really enjoy that. And that's just a couple of things that we do in the observation lesson. One more important lesson, of course, is people skills. Now, we know that employers often look to hire people with strong interpersonal skills. So this lesson will help your students understand what they are and how to apply them as a leader in a workplace. Students will go through a self-assessment. It's just provided as a means of self-reflection on how and where they have room to improve in their people skills. And then they are put through a leadership conversation starter activity where scenarios are read, and then students write an appropriate question to use to start a conversation with an employee in the workplace. So those are just a few examples of the types of things that you'll find in our Leadership Soft Skills program. Now, here's a look at those scenario cards that I referenced earlier. There are 18 different cards in the deck. Each of them has a different soft skill, leadership soft skill focused on in that individual card. So students will read through the real world scenario, and then they'll have key questions to answer, as well as those points of view to consider. So you can see how even something like the scenario cards are very flexible in how you use them. You can use them for a whole group discussion. You could use them for individual written activities, small group discussions. So just a lot of ways that can be very flexible. So we've taken these same 18 leadership soft skill lessons and we've recently turned them into an online course. We did that for a few reasons, but one of the primary factors, of course, was the fact that students, many of them were working remotely and in a hybrid learning environment in the last year. And we were being asked for more resources that students could be doing at home. And leadership was a fantastic topic and certainly one that lends itself well to online learning. So we have now turned it into an 18-lesson online course. Now, a few of the features that you'll get if you would purchase the online course is self-paced learning lesson by lesson. You as an instructor can have your students get access to it and do the lessons in any order they'd like. Or you can even direct it in a syllabus where you tell them the order that you'd like them to do those 18 lessons in. It's very intuitive. So when students go onto the website and into each lesson, they're guided through it very easily. It's broken into different sections. There's a progress monitor on the left-hand side of the screen that always lets them know what part of the lesson they're in. But we've tried to make it very engaging. So it's more than just reading. They're going to have dozens of different what we call learning objects where the content is embedded, and it's drop and drag things, or they might click on a plus sign and it reveals more. There's videos embedded, lots of real world scenarios where they have to think through what they're learning and then apply it in the lesson. There are over 75 exercises in this course online, and there's also a pre and post summative assessment as well. So there's a lot of good things built into this very comprehensive program. You can purchase it in 1 and 3 and 5 year site licenses, both at the teacher level, the school site building level, and also district wide. And once you purchase a license, you can use it with unlimited numbers of students that you teach. If you're a teacher, it's the students you teach. If it's a school site license building, it's all the students in that building. In district would be students within the district. We've made it also very user-friendly to log into when you purchase it as a customer. You will receive just one login code that you share with all of your students, and it's a unique URL to you, to your account, and that will give them access to the student dashboard where all of the lessons are, and they click on the lesson, they start it, and they go ahead and take the lessons. So within 24 hours of purchasing it, you get a form that's emailed to you. You fill it out, identifying who that end user teacher or teachers will be. You return it to us. We get it all set up for you. You get that access link sent to you. You're all set, and you share that with your students, and away you go. So if you would like to learn a little bit more or try a little bit of it before you'd actually purchase, we've got some things available that you might find very useful. First of all, we've made 2 free online lessons available to you at this link and for the online course. And we also have a free lesson from our paper-based program available as well. And after the webinar today, you will also receive these links in a handout. So if you don't want to write down all of these links, you will receive it there. But you can also go on to our realityworks.com website. And when you go into our website store and you look at soft skills things, that is where you will find more information on both of the programs, the print and the online. And that is also where you can sign up for these free trial lessons. Now, Lori referred to the fact that their Leadership Essentials and our Leadership Soft Skills program has an alignment, and that is what you are looking at on the screen in front of you. We were very, very pleased to find that American Association for Family and Consumer Science had the Leadership Essentials certification, because sometimes leadership certifications are not easy to find, and we align beautifully. Both our print and our online course meet all of the different competencies that they have in their Leadership Essentials. So this document can also be found on our website if you're interested in printing it off or taking just a little bit closer look at all of the different lessons. All of our topics, our lessons are going across the top, and then all of the Leadership Essential competencies are listed on the left-hand side. So you can see how each of them aligns with each other at a glance. Lori, did you have any additional comments you wanted to say as far as the alignment goes?
Yes, I would love to, Denise. As she said, we were very excited when we actually put our Leadership Essentials competencies up against their Leadership Soft Skills curriculum. And it's really a hand-in-glove fit as you are looking at integrating this type of curriculum or online course in your program. What a wonderful way to then give the students an opportunity to earn a certification and validate the knowledge and skill that they have developed through that curriculum. Just as though they have an online course, our assessment is online. So again, it gives the student an opportunity to earn some recognition and to actually validate knowledge and skill. And so this alignment and correlation, it's a wonderful fit as you look at how this might be integrated into your particular program.
All right, so I just have a few more things to share with you before we open up for a Q&A. And one other program that we have available that we just wanted to make you aware of is an employability skills program. It works very nicely. It's separate from the Leadership Soft Skills program, but it's formatted much the same way. We have a print program as well as an online course that cover 19 different lessons in employability skills. And we are very pleased to be able to offer that as well. So if you're interested in learning more specifically about this, you can also go to the RealityWorks website to learn about this program. We do have some other free resources. RealityWorks does have a blog that we have new content on. We have guest writers that will share lesson plans and activities. Also, if we have any new product launches, we share information in our blog. So you might want to check that out. We're also very active in our Facebook and Twitter and some of our social media accounts. And then we do have several other free soft skills webinars like the one we did today that sometimes focuses more on the best practices and things you can do in your classrooms. And those can be found at the link that you see on the screen. We do have an archive section of soft skills webinars, most of which are around half an hour in length, but you can go out there and you might also find some good ideas for your classroom. So at this time, I'm going to open it up for any Q&A, and I'm going to go out to the chat box to see if there are any questions. We do have one question. It's how many minutes is each lesson planned for? Typically in each of the lessons, there's anywhere from 2 to 4 activities. And depending on how deep you want to go into the lesson, most of them can be done in an hour. Some go over, depending, like I said, how deep you go into the lesson, and if you do all the activities. But some are more 1 to 2 hours. But it will always tell you on the lesson how long each section or activity will take to help you with your pacing. Any other questions out there today? I see one that says, if the paper version with the course is purchased, can the materials be reused, or would a new copy need to be purchased each year? The one part of it that would need to be repurchased are those workbooks. When you buy the initial paper-based program, you get 20 workbooks, but then those would of course be given out to the students taking the course. And then you can purchase additional workbooks on our website store in bundles of 20. But the actual curriculum itself, the teacher guide and those scenario cards, those can be reused. You would not repurchase those. Any other questions regarding the certification or any of the other content that we covered today? We'd be happy to take those questions. We have a few minutes. Got done a little early here. But I'm sure if you have questions that you think of after today, you can certainly reach out to Lori at the contact information she shared earlier. And you can also reach out to us as well. It says, does the certification exam need to be purchased? And Lori, I'm going to let you take that one.
Great, thanks, Denise. So the certification exam is a fee-based per student, depending on your state. So we offer 2 products. One is a single administration of the exam, which is a one-time test per student that is either $20 or $25, again, depending on your state. And then we also offer what's called a test retest product. And basically that gives each student 2 administrations. Many schools use that for a pre and post test, or sometimes we'll use it as a diagnostic tool. Because once the student finishes the exam, not only do they get an overall score on leadership essentials, but they'll actually get a score in each of the 4 domain areas. So they would be able to look to see where they have strengths, or maybe areas that they might need some additional improvement. So that test retest package is either $30 or $40, again, depending on the state that you're in. So to actually offer the assessment, schools do need to become an approved testing site from AAFCS, but there is no fee involved in becoming an approved site. The only fee is the actual per student fee for the exam. And then you have access to all of the assessment results, reports, and then the students that earn the qualifying score will be able to immediately download their certificate that validates their credential. That's good for 3 years. You might check with your school districts. Many schools do utilize some of their funding, Perkins funding for industry credentials, as well as you may have local funding as well that could be used for that. So you do have to purchase the certification exam as a separate product from AAFCS.
Thank you, Lori. Looking to see if we have any other questions out there this afternoon. I am not seeing any additional questions. I would really like to thank Lori for taking the opportunity to do a webinar with Reality Works this afternoon. I think that the information shared is extremely valuable for all of our instructors out there to just be aware of the opportunities there are for certifying leadership skills. I think it's terribly important. And hopefully you can see how using a course like the Leadership Soft Skills that Reality Works has to offer is, with it being a supplemental standalone program, it's very easily integrated into any CTE course. And now you can help your students with that extra step of getting that important certification as well. I see no other questions, so I'd like to thank everyone for attending our session today and wish you a very good rest of the school year. Thank you very much.